So today I've decided what I'm going to talk to everybody about because Halloween's approaching is Halloween related. But I specifically wanted to talk about Halloween as I was growing up. And like, I know it's going to sound silly, but my mom actually gave me this idea. My mom watches my YouTube videos. And we were discussing some of mine, and she said, you should do a video about some of these really awesome things that we used to do. And I was like, that is an amazing idea. And part of my reasoning for that is I feel like a lot of pagans are super pumped about Halloween in a way that a lot of other people sometimes get about Christmas. But I grew up in a really Catholic home, and we were always super pumped about Halloween. Like, Halloween at our house was by far, to me, the most major holiday of the whole year. And Christmas was obviously, like, very, very close to that, but Halloween to me always had some kind of special significance, and I think it's just because my parents made it so much fun. So, some of the things I want to talk to you guys about were as I was younger, and then as I've grown up, some of the things we still do in my family that's kind of unique. And I thought sharing some of this might be fun because I know a lot of people out there are pagan parents and are looking for things. A lot of people out there are in what I would call like mixed religious households. Like, for example, my fiance and I, when we get married, will be of two different religions. And I think growing up in the way that I did, these are a lot of really great ideas that are easily fit into both categories, sort of thing. It's not like you're putting too much emphasis on something when it might offend someone else or whatever. So anyway, I'll start with talking about when I was younger. This is kind of slightly related, but I remember it in this context. I used to have certain things that I did with my mom and I did with my dad that were very unique to me. And one of those things is with my mom, every Saturday morning, her and I would run upstairs, jump in the blankets, and cuddle up and watch Goosebumps. And I know I used to watch Tales from the Crypt when I was even younger, but I was so young that I don't actually remember that show very much at all. I remember Goosebumps a lot. So that used to be me and my mom's big thing when I was younger. And I don't really think my mom probably cared about Goosebumps at all. But she knew I liked it. We made a big ritual out of it basically every week. That was time for mom and daughter every single week. And I don't really remember the shows at all, but I remember the feeling of being snuggled up to my mom in like a blanket. And I was probably like 6 or 7. Like, I thought it was great. So, some other things that we did when I was younger that I think are kind of unique. I don't see a lot of people do this. And I know people do it, but I don't see a lot of people doing it. We painted pumpkins. We carved pumpkins with my dad, but my mom used to be like really crafty and like doing little, like one of the things I remember, she would put puzzles together and like glue puzzles together, and it was really neat. But she liked doing crafts type stuff, so a big thing is we always had paints and stuff around the house, and we would go out in the garage and set up this huge workstation and just paint pumpkins. And like my mom was reminding me, one year we seriously painted 30 pumpkins. Like, I'm not even kidding. That doesn't even include the pumpkins that we carved. We just painted 30 pumpkins. And I remember some of them were really funny. Like, I remember being really proud. Like, I made a scenery type thing on the side of mine, and my brother would just make this ridiculous face on the side of a pumpkin because he was like 5 or younger. So I have some really awesome memories of that. But I think that's a really fun thing to do that's different. And you can make that into, I don't know, I feel like kids, like when I was a kid, the thing about carving a pumpkin is that's really your dad's job until you reach a certain age. You can't give a 4-year-old a knife, and if you do, shame on you because that won't end well. But you can give a 4-year-old a paintbrush and a thing of paints and tell them to go nuts. And that was like the coolest thing. Like, you always got to stick your fingers in the guts of a pumpkin and get all of the nasty stuff out of it, and then my dad could carve, and then you got to sit down and paint and do whatever you wanted to these pumpkins. So that's like by far, I think, one of the coolest things my mom and dad used to do with us. So another one that is really awesome, my parents have always been big into not just like taking us trick-or-treating, but participating in that experience. We always had like some of the most ridiculous costumes in our house, and I really wish I had photos I could show you guys. There are pictures of me and my mom and my dad, and I was definitely less than 6 years old because of the house we were living at. So I was Catwoman, my mom was Catwoman, and my dad was Batman. And my mom actually made the Catwoman costumes for me and her. And my dad was just, I remember my dad walking around doing it. My dad's ridiculous. But I remember being quite, like, slightly annoyed, and I had Batman pajamas, and I couldn't wait that night to get out of my Catwoman costume to put on my pajamas so I could be like my dad too. Like, I'd been like my mom all night, and I wanted to be like my dad now and be a superhero. So, I really thought that was great though, and I always loved that my parents didn't just like expect us to go trick-or-treating and take us around. They dressed up with us. They did stuff with us. Like, it was always an experience, and it was always something that was like entertaining in some way. It wasn't just like they dressed up. It was like interactive somehow. That's what I remember about it. And I remember another year my dad cross-dressed as, I think, Julia Childs for her Halloween party, which is the next thing I was going to get into. We made a huge thing out of decorating our home, like for any holiday, but especially for Halloween. I'm not kidding, like over the course of my life, I would probably be scared to see the amount of money we have spent on Halloween decorations throughout our life. And it was totally worth it. Oh my god, my favorite thing as a kid, my mom had probably like 20 sheets of window stickers, and we have a lot of windows in our house. So that was amazing, and I could not wait. Like, we would pester the shit out of her, like, where are the window stickers? Like, get them out now. And she's like, it's not October yet. Yes, it is. Like, let's do it right now. We're gonna put up window stickers. And me and my brother would run around putting them all over the place, and that was so much fun. Like, and it was so interactive with the family. And we could talk about which ones were our favorites and how we wanted to, like, create little scenes out of all these. And me and my brother got into a lot of arguments about who got to put stuff where, because he always took my favorite spots. He's like 6 years younger than me, so I was a very whiny older sister in some cases, I'll be totally honest. But we had decorations, not just window stickers, but we had stuff all over the house. I remember one time my mom got wall decals. I think it was when I was like high school. She had wall decals that were like crime scenes and like blood spatter and stuff all over the living room. It was so cool. And one of my big things that I always remember from growing up is we would have huge Halloween parties at our house. And when I say a huge Halloween party, it was almost all family. Like, we have really big family. So, like, my mom's one of five and my dad's one of five. So there are lots and lots of extended family members who love getting together for various things. So we always had Halloween parties. And I remember we had so much fun playing games. Like, I remember playing charades and everyone was in the living room. Everybody would get together and tell, like, scary stories. And I'll never forget, I don't even know how old I was, but I was really young. And one of our family friends went outside and, like, knocked on the windowsill and wore, like, a really creepy, like, werewolf mask. And I'll never ever forget my younger cousin just like shrieking like a banshee. He thought he was gonna die. It was ridiculous. That's like one of my greatest memories though. I just think that stuff is so much fun. And my mom actually one year, with her craftiness, took a big cardboard box that was probably something like a refrigerator. I don't know how big it actually was, because I was really young, so I remember it being huge, but it may not have been as big as I think it is. But she made a jail cell out of it, and like spray painted it and cut the little bars and stuff into it. And we had these like obnoxious like rubber like handcuff type shackles. That's the word I'm looking for. We had shackles and like a plastic ball and chain. Oh my god, me and my cousins had so much fun in there. There was like dry ice in the corner, so it was foggy, and we played in a jail cell for hours, dressed up as all kinds of crazy shit. Like, oh my god, some of the greatest things in the world. So those are some of my memories from childhood, and I think a lot of these things can be applied to pagan families too, because there's really, Halloween is Halloween. I don't care what religion you are, it's fun, and it's supposed to be fun. Now, as I got older, those were all things when I was really young. As I got older, Halloween, in a way, this is a really good memory about my dad. And this happened just a couple years ago. He was waiting until I was too old to trick-or-treat. And I was one of those extremely obnoxious teenagers that I trick-or-treated every year until I graduated high school. I was like, no one will take any of these experiences from me. Like, I will get every single year. And I had like people in the neighborhood who'd have their children who are like 3 years younger than me, like stuck at home, not trick-or-treating, or like pouting in the background. They're like, you're too old to do this. I'm like, wow, I am not out of high school yet. Not too old yet. So that was me. But my dad waited until I graduated, and we decorated our garage. My dad and me really like musical instruments, and my dad in particular is very naturally talented. So we don't really read music, but we play it really well. So we got out the keyboards and like all kinds of crazy stuff and dressed all creepy, and like kids had to come like into the garage kind of to get the candy, and my dad's like lurking with all this creepy shit on, like playing these keyboards super loud, and he's got synthesizers that make like really terrifying like screechy noises and stuff. Oh man, it was so much fun. So we all dressed up. We even dressed up our dog. Like, yeah, that's us. So that's a great memory I have of me and my dad kind of bonding over music and madness and creepiness, so yay. But my big thing now that I'm old enough, and this is the coolest thing I think about my family, and it's actually surprisingly like most of the memories I've told you are in kind of the context of my mom's side of the family. My dad's side of the family we don't see as often, but I see them for sure once every year, and it is for a Halloween activity. And in our family, we get together and we have what's called Scary Night. Scary Night is a women's only event, and it is all of like my aunts. My mom obviously is included in that sort of aunt category, and then all of their daughters, of which there are quite a few. Their daughters in some cases now, because I have older cousins on that side of the family, and a bunch of their friends. So there's like, I want to say there is probably like 20 to 25 of us this last Scary Night. Like, there was a lot of people. And we dress up. We dress up and we go out to eat somewhere. And then we come home and we always go to Grandma Georgia's house. Grandma Georgia is not my actual grandma, but I don't have an actual grandma on that side of the family. So she is my grandma for lack of an actual biological one over there. So anyway, she's awesome, and she has a legitimate haunted house. And I'm not even going to go into those discussions, but I will just say that it is definitely creepy, whether or not you want to say it's haunted. So we go over there, and we eat all kinds of food. Everybody makes foods that are Halloween themed and are like super, super creative. Like, people have like the spider looking cupcakes and all kinds of like really fun things. So we eat more food, because that's what we do. And last time, we all went outside and sat in a big circle with candles. Like, everybody had a jar candle that they got to hold. And we all talked about, like, our paranormal experiences. And I have one that I will share. I'll do another video right after this, so it'll be my series of unexplained events number 3, I think. But I told that story last year. And it's such a great, like, as far as like, because everybody there, that's the really strange thing, all of them are super, super Christian. And like, you always, after anything, everyone's like, oh man, thank God, like, God this, God that, Jesus, all these things. And it's awesome, because I feel great knowing that I'm sitting here thinking something almost totally different, but it's the same principle, and we can all connect over that. And they're so supportive of, like, almost everybody on that side of the family has had some kind of strange intuitive experience. So it's like that one time where I sort of do ritual basically with other people, and it's all women, and it's all women in my family. And it's such a neat experience. So after we do those kinds of things outside, we come in the house, and we usually play hide and seek downstairs in like their sort of basement. I don't know what you want to call that. It's finished basement. Like, people used to like live down there, their rooms and everything. And it's awesome because it's creepy, like really creepy. And people usually play like in pairs because some of the girls get too freaked out. So we have like 2 people who are seekers and everyone else hides. And my greatest memory ever of me and my mom is I was 21 and she was 50 in the same year. So this was like 2 years ago now, yes. And we managed to crawl under a dining room table that the chairs were like all pushed in, so there's like so little room between these chairs. We squeeze our fat butts in between there, and we managed to hide, like me and my mom, like we're 5 years old again basically, and we're giggling so hard I was terrified they were gonna find us because we couldn't stop laughing. And it turns out we were really, really hard to find because nobody thought we could fit under there with the chairs pushed in. So it's like the greatest thing ever, is just that memory of like holding on to my mom as we're hiding under there, just giggling like crazy. It was awesome. And then we always go upstairs and we watch a scary movie. And last year we watched Paranormal Activity 2, I believe. I think. Maybe 1. I don't remember. I think we watched both at some point, but we always watch a scary movie. So this year actually will be the first year that we are not doing it at Grandma George's house, which I'm kind of disappointed about. And this is also the first year we don't have a theme. Usually there's like a theme and everyone has to dress up. So like one year we got to pick witch names, like everybody had to have a witch name, which was really fun. And you're supposed to pick one that's kind of like from pop culture and stuff, so I was Circe because I was trying to think of something that no one else would take because there's like only so many. And last year we all were gypsies. Like everybody had to dress up as gypsies, which was really, really fun, and we were all super noisy when we walked through a restaurant. It was great. So those are just some really awesome, fun memories that I have with my family and things we do that are not just pagan, they're for everybody. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe you got some inspiration out of this. Maybe you just thought it was entertaining, because that would be cool too. If you've done similar things, or if you have like really unique experiences too that you do with your family or anything you want to share, I love hearing about stuff like that. So like definitely don't be afraid to comment or even leave me a video response, because I'll definitely watch it. So I'm gonna do my other video now because I don't want to make this one any longer than it already is. Oh my god, it's like 17 minutes. I'm gonna stop talking. So hope you got something out of this. Bye.